have plenty of educational videos online talking about how to clean retainers.
Okay.
Right? And how to clean your aligners when you're going through treatment. And then there are comments that people thanking me and other people going, oh, I can't believe you're telling people to do this and this. And I said, well, first of all, I'm just showing you how we do it. But so here's how you do it. Toothbrush, toothpaste.
Okay.
That's it.
You're now tuning in to Unfiltered.
All right, guys, so we have another episode on Unfiltered FTL. We have the one and only Dr. G in the house. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Yeah. I'm Dr. Johnny Gonzalez, orthodontist, and I'm the owner and founder of my family practice here. It's called Jet Boutique Orthodontics, and we're located here in downtown Fort Lauderdale.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, thank you for having us and actually having you in your location. I think it's one of the things that we want to do a little different instead of just having a typical podcast room, things like that. So keep it unfiltered, keep it raw, keep it fresh. And our goal here is to highlight entrepreneurs in Fort Lauderdale. And I mean, I don't think there's anybody better than you in the case that you're literally located in the heart of Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. So I kind of want to start off with that. What made you choose Fort Lauderdale to open up your first practice?
Well, I live in the area, very close by. That was firstly. But I love the atmosphere here in this area. Mm-hmm. And then not only that, but our practice. So, for the audience, I'm an orthodontist, but specifically what we do at our practice is that we help adult and busy professionals straighten their teeth without braces, and we do that with Invisalign. And so, our target demographic is we treat patients between the ages of 25 and 75. Usually, again, adults and busy professionals. And it's like, hey, what better area? I mean, this area is growing at such a rapid pace, and you have Las Olas right here next door and all these corporate offices and things like that. So it makes it easier for patients, especially who work in this area.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Fort Lauderdale, I mean, I've lived in Fort Lauderdale now for, I would say, half my life. I'm from New York, but since I moved to Fort Lauderdale and what it is now, it's been growing. Mm-hmm. I've always said it was a hidden gem of South Florida because it was always Miami. Yeah. And Miami's becoming like a little New York where it's just very cluttered. And I think Fort Lauderdale has done things right. I mean, and it's still a lot of buildings to come, a lot of businesses. So I think you picked a great location when it comes to like what's happening, what's going on. I mean, look at what happened in spring break. Everybody wanted to come here this year, not Miami.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So there's a reason for that, right? So it's becoming the hip town. This is where everybody wants to be. So that's a great thing. So one question is, where did Jet Boutique come from? Where did the name? The name? Yeah. Where was the inception of the name?
It's a great question. And fun story, at least I think. So I grew up playing sports. That was what I lived and breathed every day. It was like from morning came and to night, and that's all I was doing. And so my dad coined the nickname for me, Johnny the Jet. That was my nickname. I used to be fast, not anymore with these knees, but no, I used to be quick, and so they called me Johnny the Jet, and it stuck. So my childhood nickname was that. My name is Johnny, but if somebody says Jet, I respond the same, like out on the street. And if you do call me Jet, which a lot of people do, I know that you know me from back in the day. Yeah. And so anyway, that was my nickname, and but then it's also an acronym. J stands for my name, Johnny, E for Estefania, my wife, and T was actually my dog, Twix. He passed away in January, but he was our child. So anyway, it was it's always been Jet as the acronym, so for my family. And so that's where it came, the Jet part of it. And then the boutique was, hey, so we do things very much differently here at our practice than is kind of commonly seen. We're not a high volume, kind of practice where it's like a factory. We value high personalization and provide value to our patients. And so it gives it that boutique feel. And so I hope that you've even seen that when you've come in and checked out the office.
No, definitely. I mean, it's definitely something different. I mean, I think a lot of people either they don't go to the dentist because they're not, educated on how important their health is when it comes to dental health. Yeah. The dentist that they go to is probably stuck in the 80s or even the 70s at the core and everything. And I mean, guys, we're in 2025. So, you have to make sure that we're using the tools of technology to kind of better help us, and also make sure that where you go, it feels comfortable, it feels good, right? It's an experience that you want to keep coming back, because there's people that are still scared of the dentist. I mean, so that's another thing too. Yeah. So I think you've done a pretty good job, and we'll show you guys in our clips, the office and things like that. I think you did a great job of just having that comfort feel and that like, judgment of like, oh, I don't want to go to a dentist because they're gonna, drill holes in me and all this stuff. I'm scared. As much as how old you can be, people are still scared of the dentist. So I think you did a great job of giving them that comfort as soon as they walk in through the doors. It gives that refreshing feel. Yeah. And I think it goes with the branding. I mean, you're in the dental field, refresh, you have to get that refreshed smile, right? You're here to make it nice and clean, nice and white. And I think you've done a great job with the decor.
Yeah, thank you. And you know what? The actual feel of the office and the layout and the design is super important. That being said, it's only one element, as you know, right? So it's what's the standard of the practice, what's the standard of the doctor and the team along with it. And so I think a lot of it too is like I treated myself as well with Invisalign, so I know what it's like to be a patient. And so what we've done is I've taken and we've thought about every single aspect of the patient journey from the moment that they make the first phone call to scheduling an appointment to come in. How do we greet them? How do we set up their initial consultation? Every way through, so that it feels so seamless and frictionless. Because whether it's here or you go to a restaurant or a hotel, whatever it is, the best experiences are those that you don't really know why you're having such a good experience. It just is. And that was made by design.
Correct.
Right? Oftentimes we only really kind of, something is noticeable to us when it's going wrong.
Yep.
Right? And so we can easily pinpoint that.
Yep.
But it's very, very hard to kind of pinpoint why something just feels good.
Correct. So it's kind of interesting that you pick on that. So our company slogan is "Design is everywhere." It's literally, it's everywhere. I mean, and when people think the word design, they think either like it's graphic design or architecture and things like that, or interior design. Guys, the clothes that I'm wearing, the phone that you have, the shoes have been designed. So down to the signage, everything, and it matters because it's surrounding us. Yeah. So you can be in Publix right now, you see nothing but products. They're all been designed. Even the store itself has been designed in a way so that you can buy more.
Correct.
So everything has a science to it. Yeah. So I think I'm glad to hear that you made a focal point of like, hey, when we design the space, let's make sure it has an intention. So that way, I mean, you were showing me even things that I haven't seen in other dentist practice where like the flow, instead of going room to room, the fact that you guys and your staff can go from one patient to the other very seamlessly, I think is a great thing for efficiency. So
yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I love that slogan, by the way. Yeah. And you're right, how things are set up. And it's even in the clothes we wear and how, so we a lot of our interactions are nonverbal, right? So it's like, what are you projecting to the world? What do you want people to know about you? And how you do things. So, and hopefully, like attracts like, right? So we share values.
So me and Sho were talking the other day. Are you only focused on Invisalign, or do you also do like the regular cleanings and things that go with it, or what other services does the practice do currently?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So we specialize solely in Invisalign. So, and if I may provide a little bit of context too, because I find that actually a lot of people don't really know what an orthodontist is. Yeah. And I think that's a good place to start. So in order to become a dentist, you go through, college, university. After that, you have to go to dental school, right? Which is its own application process and things like this. That's 4 years of schooling. In those 4 years, you learn how to do cleanings, crowns, implants, stuff like this, bridges, dentures, all the things that one would think of when it comes to dentistry, right? Yeah. But you don't learn anything about how to straighten teeth or how to align bites or how the facial development of somebody's jaws and things like this, right? That's all of that is the orthodontic specialty. So in order to become an orthodontist, once you're finished with dental school, you have to go to specialty school, which is residency, for an additional 3 years, just to learn how to do what we do. So it's kind of like saying, hey, I'm a medical doctor versus I'm a brain surgeon, right? Yeah, or I'm a heart surgeon. That's, you're both doctors, right? But one is a specialist. And so I think it's important to make that distinction, right? And so, dentists, general dentists, they do some Invisalign, right? But, you don't see general dentists doing braces, right? And there's a reason for that, right? And so here at our practice, while I am an orthodontist and while I do know how to do braces and while I'm good at that, I've just looked at the patient journey and doing this for years in my career and just saying, hey, if a patient could do braces or Invisalign and we can get them the same result in the same amount of time or whatever, which one is the best experience for everybody involved, especially the patient? And it just always came down to Invisalign. And I just said, you know what? when I create my own practice, when I build that, that's all I want to do for our patients. And so, yeah, that's what we do. And we treat anything from the most mild to the most severe and complex cases.
Nice.
And things that people would kind of discount themselves for, like, oh, I'm too old, or I'm too, my case is too complicated, or I have a crown, or I have an implant, I can't do it. And so we kind of debunk all those things. And it's nice to have those people in. So to answer your question straight out, just again, sorry for the long context, but we don't do cleanings or traditional general dentistry thing. All we do is Invisalign. So we start off with a consultation. We do a comprehensive exam. So if we do see that you need something additional, we tag team and work with your dentist. But all we do is Invisalign. Afterward, we'll do teeth whitening. And then the other thing that we do for our patients is that once we've straightened your teeth, oftentimes when you have crooked teeth and messed up bite, you end up getting chips on your teeth and uneven wear patterns. And so at the end there, I smooth them out to make them look really nice. And so those are the three main things.
No, that's good. That's good because when you think dentists, you think they do everything, right? So a lot of people don't know that there's specializations and there's different things that certain practices that only focus on certain things. Just like us. I mean, we do marketing, but we don't do marketing for everybody.
Correct.
We focus more on restaurants, we focus more on lawyers, doctors' offices. So because of that, that's our niche. It's a little bit easier for us to kind of do that because we become experts in that field.
And I love that you just said that because I think you hit it right on the head. Because not only is there, you have general dentistry, you have orthodontics, or you have, what you were just, you have specialization, right? But then there's actually niching down even further within that. And I think oftentimes there's a quote that I love. I'm just paraphrasing, but it's from Alex Hormozy. He talks about, hey, people underestimate just how much volume it takes to be exceptional at one thing. And once you realize just how much volume and repetition and focus and energy that it takes to be exceptional at one thing, you realize just how few things you probably should do. And the way that we kind of present ourselves and how we want to deliver for our patients, we want to be exceptional for you. And so it's like, hey, we know what we're good at, we know who we're good at doing it for, and we just focus on that.
Good. That's awesome, man. That's great to hear. So definitely, I wish you were around when I was going through my Invisalign. I've been through Invisalign, so that I was fairly new. So it was many years ago, and I mean, because of that, I didn't know I had a problem. I had braces. I was a case where I had braces when I was young. Never wore my retainers. And then when I went to go see the dentist, my wife told me, "Hey, let's go to do a cleanup." I'm like, "Sure." And they're like, "Yeah, we got to fix this." I'm like, "Fix what? I had braces." And then that's when it was like, all right, let's do Invisalign. So, and then during that journey, you learn a lot too, because it's really on the patient too to do their part. Because if they're not putting in the trays in and taking it out and not, and not flossing and then keeping it off for 4 hours instead of 1 hour, 2 hours, it's just going to prolong the journey. And then they're skipping a tray. They got to go back. And, I've learned that too the hard way. So I actually had to do the treatment twice because of that.
Right.
So,
and, and to that end, I think there's a couple of things involved with that. And again, I've taken like all my experience over my career and I've said, I'm the type of person, I see something and I'm like, how do we iterate that? How can we make it better? How can we make their experience better? And so to your end, or to the point about like having to wear them and things like this, I think there's a couple of things. The first is when oftentimes you go in for a consultation and things are kind of glossed over. They're like, oh yeah, no worries, and everything's gonna work out great, and and they try to paint this picture as though you're not gonna have to do anything on your end. And so when we do our consultations, it is not like that. First of all, our consultations are an hour and 20 minutes long. Okay, we really take our time to personalize it, educate, understand what your goals are, what you've done, what you're looking for, make a diagnosis, the right treatment plan, all of that, and really kind of walk you through from A to Z. What is Invisalign? How does it work? How do we do it specifically here that's very unique to our practice? And so that really sets the tone for the future treatment, but also something that you probably didn't have is we do something called virtual care. Okay. So basically we onboard our patients with an app on their phone, and every single week that app sends them a text message when they're due to change to their next aligners, as you know, and it says, hey, time to send doc photos. And that night, before they change to the next one, they open up the app and they're taking pictures of their teeth. The following day, I come into the office and I look at all of my patients who send me photos from the previous night, and I treat it like an actual appointment as if they were chairside. It's amazing. I can show it to you later. Awesome. And so that holds accountability and it's just peace of mind. knowing that I'm monitoring everything, and they know that I'm watching. I give them messages and updates. So it's pretty awesome.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, so fun fact, me and Johnny, we used to play basketball on the basketball. He plays basketball. This doctor plays basketball, right? So when we were playing on the basketball team in a rec league here in Fort Lauderdale, I remember we were just on the bench one day and he was just telling me like, yeah, I want to open up my own practice. And then, you know, I have this vision and it's focused on Invisalign. I mean, that was like maybe even 4 years ago. And the fact that we're here now, I think I'm very proud of the fact that you make the vision come to life and where you're at today. So I wish you nothing but a lot of success moving forward.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
But let's get into competitors. So I remember when I was before I did Invisalign, I said, let me do my research. I never heard of this thing. I'm used to traditional braces. The doctor was like, here's a brochure. I was like, sure, what the hell is this? And then I started seeing that there was like a bunch of other competitors like Smile Direct and all. I don't even remember there's so many companies out there and they just give you the trays. It's a virtual thing. You don't go to the doctor. Do you see, what are the pros and cons when it comes to that? Do you feel like it's a little, because in this case they're physically coming here and you're treating them like you said, like the fact that you can take those photos and treat them and have a virtual consultation with them. I ain't have any of that. And I don't think these companies do that.
Yeah.
They don't even have a doctor on staff.
Right. And by the way, those photos every week for us, that's in addition to you coming every 3 to 4 months for your in-person appointments. Yeah. So, I mean, you just touched on something that's hot and heavy.
Yeah.
And so you asked like, hey, what are the pros and cons? Honestly, there are no pros. Okay, firstly. There's zero pros. And I'm not even trying to put that, you know, exaggerate it. So to your point, there are, I think, you mentioned a couple things. There's competitors, but then what you were just talking about is like the direct to consumer, mail order online stuff, right? So you have different companies, and I'm not going to get into names of companies. One of which has gone bankrupt, has a bunch of class action lawsuits. I'm not going to name which one. Okay,
Did not know that.
I did not know that. 100%. And then when you start to see these patients come in and they're like, hey, I did X, Y, and Z because I didn't think it was that bad and whatever else, and I need help now. My bite is messed up or this or that. And then, so not only are they functionally, off and they need help, but then they also wasted their time, money, and effort. And so it's scary. I've seen some really scary stuff. And some people get lucky. But to your point, you have the direct to consumer brands, and companies that they'll send you, you fill out some application online, they send you to your house, something for you to take an impression at home of your teeth, like a mold. I know doctors and assistants who can't take good molds.
That's another thing.
How are you even gonna take a mold of yourself?
They messed up my impression. This was a doctor 3 times. So when I found out that you had to do it yourself, I was like, how do I know if I'm doing it right?
You don't. And so then now, listen, garbage in, garbage out. So now you take a bad mold, right? So now your smile design plan is being formulated by God knows who, right? And there's no doctor oversight or anything like this. You get these trays that you hope fit, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. You're told to wear them. Hey, try to wear them as much as possible and whatnot. There's no oversight at all. So you're just blindly going with it and hoping that things go well. And that's just, I just think about, from a liability standpoint, right? It's like, how's that even possible? How do companies get away with that? You take no x-ray, you don't have any doctor oversight, and there's no rules and regulations against that. I mean, just think about it. If a doctor were to miss something on an x-ray, there's liability there, right? And so there's so much bad with it. There's absolutely no pro to it. It's, hey, if you're really considering this, please go to a professional, right? Please go to a professional, look up, do your research, and really not only that, but now, I'm a consumer too, right? Like, in the 4 walls of my practice, I'm the professional, but outside, right? I need doctors, right? I need some professional work on my car, my house, whatever the case might be. So how do you go about finding that right person and getting educated, right? And how does that person or that company or that group really kind of help you to see what it is that you need, avoid pitfalls and things like that?
No. I think you touched on a couple things. I mean, the reason why they even exist is because I know Invisalign is not something that's it's $100 treatment. It's not. I mean, even braces aren't cheap, So they're an alternative. They found a gap in the market. Like, can we make it less expensive? And that attracts everybody because then they start thinking with their wallet. But people, when it comes to health and when it comes to your body, you got to put that aside for a second. That's just my personal opinion. But then second of all, I believe, and you, correct me if I'm wrong, do you also offer financing as well?
100%.
So that makes it where
24 months interest free.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean, that makes it where, you know, again, if you're serious about something that it's going to go on your body, in this case, your teeth, which is probably the first thing that people see as the first impression when you smile. I mean, we all learned this from COVID. When we all had our mask on, we're like, oh, okay, cool. And then you take it off, and like, oh, whoa, I didn't know you look like that. You know, so it's very important. I mean, your smile is something that you should take serious. And if you are, do it the right way. And in my case, you know, again, I'm not an Invisalign advocate or nothing like that. I've done through the process, but before Invisalign happened, the word on the street was your teeth are crooked, get braces. Now it's just get Invisalign. That's what it should be. The thing is that there's noise. There's these other companies that are trying to say, do this, do that, do this. And it's like, but this has already been proven, you know, and this is the one avenue that is taking it to a different level and is using technology and is using the doctors and the fact that, you know, it works, just do it. Yeah. So again, you can buy a new car and you know it's going to work, or you can buy a used car and then try to run through the, you know, fixing the car up, and you spend more money, and these people end up in that, and then it sucks because I call it a horror story. I'm sure that like a patient comes to you and like, hey, I've already spent X amount of money on this company, and now I got to come to you. Yeah. And it sucks because it's like, I wish I could give you a discount, but it's like, it's not my fault.
No, it's terrible.
You know, it's a horror story for them.
And it's just terrible for the patients as well. But you hit on something where, you know, you said noise. Mm-hmm. We're living in the internet, social media world where like everyone, you know, is posting, not everyone, but many people are posting educational stuff, or hey, trying to sell you this or that. And so it's how do you sift through all that? It's like, what is true? What is false? What's misinformation? And things like that. So it's very hard to understand what your options are and which one you probably should go with. And some of these marketing, the marketing for these companies is so good. And so there's the financial aspect of it too, because people are hoping like, hey, well, maybe I can pay a lesser cost for it and cross my fingers. But if something is too good, sounds too good to be true, it probably is, type of thing. But I think the added kind of caveat here, right? And I think that's not talked about enough. And it's a lack of education for the general public. And by the way, that's no fault of their own. I think it's actually a fault of ours that we have not provided as much education as is needed. So that's why I do my best to post educational content every day on all the social media platforms and just say, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. Try to provide tips and advice, because what happens is that, you know, when you think of, so let's go through a couple things. Braces, right? Braces is a product, right? There's different brands of braces.
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that.
I thought it was just
a lot
wires,
of people don't know that.
I thought it was the wires and you pick the color.
And that's not how it works, right? Like, it's like saying braces. It's like saying a car. Okay, what car? Do you have an SUV? Do you have a sports car? Do you have a Honda? Do you have a Toyota? What brand? So there's different types of braces, right? And so every doctor that you go to has different brands of braces, if they do that, right? In terms of Invisalign, right? So Invisalign's a brand. You have other brands out there. Invisalign is the best in my opinion. And by the way, I don't get sponsored or paid by them, endorsed by them at all. There's a reason why I built a practice all around it. Okay, but Invisalign is a clear aligner, right? And so what happens, to your point about the noise and all of this, is Invisalign, clear aligners, braces, it's become a commodity. You can find it on any corner. You can find any orthodontist, any dentist to go ahead. You go through corporate offices. Okay, again, I'm not going to name names here. Okay, but where they're like high volume, you're just a number, it's in and out. You see the doctor for 2 seconds, you wonder what's going on. And so it's a commodity. And the thing is that what I've realized, a lot of patients, and again, to no fault of their own, because it's our fault for not educating and not providing value up front and demonstrating, conveying that value. But that is that they're like, hey, I'm going to get Invisalign. I'm going to get braces. It's not, hey, I'm going to choose my doctor. It's a service. It's not a product. It is technically, but braces by themselves, they don't do anything. If I were to hand you braces right now, they don't straighten your teeth, right? It's how is it applied. And same thing with clear aligners, right? So it's, hey, there are 4 main components: perfect diagnosis or great diagnosis, which leads to a great treatment plan, which leads to a great smile design. All right, and then you wearing them, and those 4 together. But that's the service provider.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
you touched upon about like educating, pretty much the general public. So, how important would you say is like social media in your industry? Like, do you use it to like get new clients or?
Yeah, I think it's very important. But I think again to make the distinction that between the noise, like some stuff on social media, you have to be careful with what you consume, right? So we post educational content every single day on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok, right? And all I try to do is stick to what I know. This is what I know. This is what I'm good at. These are our experiences. I don't say you should do this. I say this is how this patient presented. This is what we saw. This is what we did. Here are the results. Because listen, like we're consumers too. We don't want people to say we can do X, Y, and Z for you. It's just like, just show me what you've done, right? Just talk about what you've done, document it, right? Present it, and then we ourselves can make a judgment. Because you know what's funny? Reviews are amazing, like Google reviews, testimonials, things like this. But you know what's ironic? We still meet those amazing reviews with skepticism. We're like, do we really believe that? But you know what's funny? We'll believe a bad review.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
And so
that's the first, you believe a bad review.
We'll believe a bad review like this, or if we see a pattern. But if we see a pattern of amazing reviews, we still are like, well, maybe we're special. Maybe they're not going to deliver for us. And so, and we meet that because we're cautious, because we know just what the market is like in multiple industries, that they're just trying to sell us and get our money.
No, that's correct the way you say it. I mean, because we're in a time now where, I mean, if you go back 10 years ago, I mean, even 15, when Amazon was around, there was a time where, like, when Amazon started getting hot, we would all go to the review section and be like, oh, there's a lot of good reviews. This is a good product. Now it's like, then people started getting paid for reviews and all that, which Amazon stopped all that. So then you couldn't believe those reviews anymore. You're like, how this guy has 5,000 reviews? He just started yesterday. It's like, it makes no sense. And it kind of happened everywhere too, Google and everything. So that status quo is out there where, like, pretty much you see good reviews, like, okay, this is too perfect. What's going on? I kind of tell my clients, I'm like, listen, because we do a lot of restaurants, it's okay to not be 5.0. We want to be in that 4.5 and up, because you're going to have people that are going to have a situation that happens that you have no control. Correct. They might not like the sauce because it's too spicy, even though you told them it's spicy. That's on them. And that's okay. You still did what you cooked a good product, vice versa. So again, I mean, in this case, in your case, the fact that you're doing educational videos, I think is very important. Hopefully, don't believe everything on the internet. I hope you guys understand that. So not everything on the internet is true. So the fact that you're doing that, I think is going to help in the long term, because you're going to gain that a brand authority of, like, you becoming the doctor in the area of telling, people are going to trust you. You gain that trust. And a follower right now that you don't even know might become a patient, because if you continue being consistent with that education, they're going to be like, well, I trust this guy, because, I mean, he's not selling me. He's not trying to sell me. The way to sell nowadays is almost not selling. You have to do it in different ways, because nobody likes this sleazy salesman that, hey, buy this, sign this, but the car salesman that everybody's used to. It's a whole different style of selling now. So now you got to provide value. You got to provide something. So that's you providing value. The fact that you're saying, hey, you're showing cases and all that, because we've seen the videos, and you've been very consistent of actually with the visuals, showing the teeth, and
show me what we can do.
And that's all goes back to design. People see that and they go, oh, I didn't even know that.
Right.
And then from there, word of mouth grows, and so on and so forth. So I'm glad that you're doing digital marketing, because I think nowadays you have to do it. You have to do it.
I agree. And listen, if you truly want to help people, right? If you truly want to help people, and which we do, and which I do, right? It's like, oftentimes people will say, well, why would I do that? What's the ROI? What's the return on investment? I'm like, well, listen, first of all, you can build brand, but apart from that, if you genuinely want to help people, like you say, maybe that piece of content will help somebody, even somebody that you'll never be able to physically help. Maybe they live in a different state, a different country. I can't tell you how many people reach out and say, hey, thanks for showing this. They're in a completely different state, completely different country. And then on a more kind of like business related aspect of it is, it doesn't matter how good we are at our craft. If people don't know who you are, it will not matter. You will get beat out by somebody who is not as good as you, okay? Doesn't deliver as good of a service, right? And so I think we owe it not only to ourselves, but we owe it to our patients specifically, or if it's another business, to their clients and potential customers, that you put that out there, because it's like, hey, this is what we have. You have this problem. We have this solution. Let's find out if we're a fit. Okay, we're not going to guarantee we are, but let's find out if we're a fit. And if we are, then you should know about that, right? And so the only way that you can get that across is if you make yourself known.
No, that's good. I mean, I think you're doing a great job of setting a good foundation.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, I know the business has just started out, but you know, you're in the industry that with time, you're going to see the true work that you're putting in right now multiply really fast, because you're going to have your clients. The good thing about your clients is that eventually they have family, have kids, they're going to trust you, and boom, 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 it's going to keep growing and growing and growing. The word of mouth's going to spread. Just like when you have a doctor or a barber that's really good, you stick with them and you stick with them for life. So in this case, you know, because there's this thing of saying fake it till you make it. But in your industry, there really is no faking, because you're going to get caught no matter what. Whether you get caught, you know, saying some lies of like, you know, hacks on your teeth, and then they're all fake, but people are following you. Yeah, it's great now, but then all your cases are going to come back all messed up. And then people like complaining, your business is going to just go down really quickly. So the fact that you have your values, honesty, the fact that you're giving them a good experience, the fact that you've done it yourself, and you instead of just saying like, oh yeah, this is what you should do, it's like, no,
I've walked away.
I know exactly the pain you're going through. I know exactly what you're going to feel. So it's a good combination of things that you're doing. So I think you're doing the right thing when it comes to that. Yeah. I know Sho has some set of questions, so I'll let Sho kind of take it away.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about like, you know, just starting off. So how important would you say is like the client network that you currently have? Do you feel like it's like something that you need to have like more focus on, like to build on, or?
I mean, if I understand your question correctly, listen, we put out content, right, and people reach out to us, right? And they have teeth alignment problems, bite alignment problems. They're looking for a professional with that values high quality service and things like this, and expertise and specialists, right? And who don't want braces. Now they reach out to us, and our goal, right, is just to treat everyone as if they were family. I know that sounds cliche, okay, unless you actually act upon it, but treat them like, hey, what value can I provide this patient? Yeah. Right. And so they come in, our consultations are free. And so when they come in, right, we just provide insane value. So we take all records, we take pictures of the teeth, and bite scan of digital scan of the teeth, x-ray, everything like this. Again, all complimentary. And we just really take the time to really understand if we can help this person, right, and collaborate with them. We're not the type of place, and I'm not the type of doctor that's just to say, hey, you need this, and it's a yes or no, and if not, then no. We try to understand, hey, what is it that you're looking for? What have you tried in the past? What are your pain points? What are you hoping for? Let's talk about this, right? Now, once we do, and we're not going to...
So the first consultation is
100% complimentary.
So I don't know what you guys are doing. I mean, there's no better, you know, I mean, if you're even thinking about it, just book an appointment.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, listen, 100% complimentary. It's an hour and 20 minutes long, because oftentimes I think, at least, I don't want the perception to be, hey, it's complimentary, and so it's not going to be good. Yeah, man, this is a very thorough, detailed consultation, an hour, 20 minutes long. I'm in there with you. We're trying to figure out a plan for you. And it's not going to be for everybody, right? And we're not going to be for everyone. That's okay. But at least, even if we're not able to help the potential patient ourselves, right, with our specific services, at least we can point them in the right direction, highlight things that maybe they didn't even know before. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. And then Sho, to your point, is like once they do become patients, we just do everything we can to over deliver. And that's it. It's hey, we made this promise to you. Yeah. We are going to fulfill on it, and we are going to treat you until you're happy, and we're just going to make sure that whatever we told you, we do that and then some, right? Yeah. And that's how you retain clients. Too often, businesses, they focus too much on trying to get a client or a patient or a customer to make a sale. No. We want you to come in so that we can actually have you as a patient and build that relationship, right?
No, and I think I mean, it's really interesting the fact that initial consultation. I mean, I think people don't understand. The people that don't know about Invisalign or just, you know, your dental health in general, there's not a one fits all solution. You know, you everybody's teeth are different. So, you know, maybe I have bigger gaps and somebody has a bunch of cavities that can get fixed before they can even do anything. So I'm assuming that consultation, you kind of find out where they're at and kind of make a plan for them. Because a lot of people probably think like, oh, I'll just do Invisalign. It's like, but it's not just a one size fits all. You have to come and get that consultation, get that information. And from there, here's a plan of attack. And based on that, their treatment could be longer or shorter.
Correct.
Right?
And to your point, there's proper sequencing, right? And so, you know, it's what is that best sequence for you? But what I found, honestly, because I was thinking about this as a consumer myself. Again, I won't name practices or different places like that, but there's somebody I know, professional and really good person and whatnot, and they have their own business, and I know what it is that they do on a high level.
Yeah.
But I don't actually know. I sat there thinking, I was scrolling through and I saw their stuff on Instagram. I said, I don't actually know what they do. I don't know the details of it. I don't even know what the first step would be. I don't know what that consultation process even looks like, right? And I started to digest that for myself and our practice. And I felt like, well, maybe our patients feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Invisalign, I want my teeth straight, but what is the process like? How do we even start?
Yeah.
You know, can you walk me through some detail there? And so I try to keep that very top of mind and pretend as though anyone who contacts us has no idea about what we do. And so how can we, at the most basic form, explain, hey, this is what the process is like. This is what the start is. And let us guide you through that process.
And I think to touch on a point that I've been very on this entire year, talking in my other podcast too, is ever since COVID, customer service left out the window. A lot of businesses, just like restaurants, unless you're going to like a Chick-fil-A or something like that, you expect that customer service, but a lot of just businesses in general, it's just out the window. People just care about the money.
Why do you feel that? Or like, you just touched on it, care about the money.
So in this case, from, you know, it's the way that you have your practice, you know, you guys are really laser focused on giving them that good service, and which makes it good customer service, right? Whether it's something that's not for them or not, the fact that you're taking the time to figure out what is a good solution for them, I think is very, very important, because customer service, I mean, it's just people, there was a switch that kind of happened. There was a time that people didn't want to work. Stimulus checks was going out. People didn't want to work. So we had to pay people to come work. So then the people that were working, they were young, they were new, they just didn't care. That's what it kind of, I feel like, came to about. Like the front desk, you know, receptionists, people that work in the front, they are the face of the brand, and they don't know that. They just kind of like, hey, how you doing? Are you at an appointment? All right, cool. It's like, all right, next. It's like, what the hell? Like,
that's a training problem.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a culture
but
problem.
Even the owners of the businesses don't even, they're like, whatever, we got so many people coming, whatever the business they're in. So I think it's refreshing that, you know, without you even saying it, one of your focuses is making sure you give them good customer service, you know, because that way when they walk out this door through the office, they left here with a different, you know, mentality of what dental health should be for them. So
100%. Listen, you have to care about people, and you can't fake that. Honestly,
exactly.
You either care about people or you don't. You know, so that's firstly. Secondly, you know, everything starts from the top and trickles down, right? So, what standards do the leader or director, right, possess, and how do they disseminate that across the entire organization? Because really, when we go and use services, right, we're not just buying the services, we're buying that business's standard, and that standard is made and upheld throughout, right? And too often businesses have things in reverse. They're so focused on trying to make money, and they make that the goal. And it's like, listen, if you just provided an amazing service, an amazing product, because you know you're either in the product or service business. Even if you have product, there's still some element of service, right? But if you just focus on doing good for people and doing the best possible job and following through on all the basics all the time, money happens as a byproduct. It occurs, right? It's not something that we have to force. And by the way, if you're doing it for money, in my opinion, it's not the right reason, right? Help people, things happen as a consequence.
100%. So Sho was asking me, he was like, so did the doctor forget his shoes? You know, his dress shoes or something like that? And I was telling him, I was like, nah, I actually wore my nice shoes today for a reason. So let's talk about style. Let's talk about style and how
Yeah.
you are, and you know why you wanted to portray yourself in a way. You guys, I'm sure one camera is picking it up where we have our
The
Jordans
shoes,
over here. So,
Jordans.
so what made you kind of like when you opened the practice, like, you know what, I don't want to keep it traditional. I want to be me. You know, what made you kind of do that?
Great question. Firstly, I guess like what is traditional? I just always wanted to be myself. I've always just stayed true to who I am and how I feel and how I want to present myself. Now, how I want to present myself is professional, 1000%. But that means something different to everybody, right? So in my eyes, it's keeping a clean image, okay, making sure that when somebody looks at you, they know that you carry yourself in a certain way and you care about certain things, especially in our profession, that, hey, things are nice and clean, they're smooth, right? Somebody's gonna high attention to detail type of thing. But when I first graduated, right, especially in our profession, everything is so spick and span. It's a collared shirt with a tie, a coat, maybe a lab coat, things like this, and that's how I actually started. You know, just for basic terms for your audience, like, you know, when you graduate from becoming a student, you go start working, right? And you don't own your own practice, right? You are considered an associate doctor, right? So you work under another doctor, either at a corporate office or hopefully a privately owned office and things like this. And you play by their rules. And so I, you know, for all those years, I wore a tie with all that. And don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with that. If that's how, you know, other doctors want to dress and present themselves, that's how they feel best, great. But I just felt always so myself and so comfortable in scrubs. But it took a long time for scrubs to be like nice fitting, and they used to be just, it was like you know, like you're wearing a blanket, you know, or they were wrinkly. And I said, I'm not a wrinkly guy, you know, but if you go to OR, it's all wrinkly. So anyway, as scrubs got to the point where somebody had the brilliant idea to say, hey, we should make scrubs stylish, you know, make it form-fitting, stuff like this. And so once that started to happen, I like that. And then as far as and I think honestly, it makes us more approachable and relatable when people come in. I mean, you already said some people have an ultimate trauma and fear of the dentist, right? And so they come in, there's like that white coat syndrome. I feel like us being in the attire that we're in scrubs, it makes it a little bit more ease for the patient. And then I rock Jordan shoes, you know, so I have a couple of Jordans in the closet, and they never leave this office. They're like my office shoes, and I rotate them out. I love the style, but I also just love more than just the style. It's that competitive nature that was ingrained in me, and Jordan was my favorite player, and it's just everything that brand represents about striving to do the best and be the best at whatever the craft is, and be the best for people. So that's why I do them.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell me, actually, Show came up with this. What was your craziest, like, I guess, case with the patient, you know, teeth-wise? That whether here or before, anywhere where you're training, what was the craziest thing? Like, whoa, that was a tough job that we had to do. So,
oh my God, I have so many. Let's see. I can do a shocker one, like just something that presented that I said, whoa. And then I can tell you about maybe.
And what do you think
other
led to that patient being to that level of, you know?
One of the ones, this is actually a very controversial topic, is permanent retainers, right? You have 50% of the population who love them, 50% who hate them. And I feel like that's kind of where the doctors are too, in a way. That I think there's a lot of kind of misconceptions out there. And there was, so I actually, funny enough, I have a TikTok video that's 2.4 million views, and it's on permanent retainers. You read the comments, it's like half the people are here, half the people are there. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I go, listen, I'm just explaining my experience, you know? It's funny because, you know, people, it's like, you can't attack an experience. All I'm doing is showing you what my experience was. I'm not telling you anything, right? But either way, so the shock one, I came over and patient said, hey, I had treatment in the past, right? I had orthodontic treatment in the past. I have a permanent retainer, but I feel like my tooth is moving. I said, okay, can you show me? And it was a lower left canine here. And so lean him back in the chair, take a look. And so this permanent retainer was across the 6 front teeth on the back side. For those of you who don't know, that's how it works, and it gets glued on. And it looked like he ate something that bent the wire. And guess what? That wire was still glued to the tooth, so it moved the tooth out of place.
Ooh.
And so that canine was the root of it was sticking out of the gums like this. And I mean, it was a shocker. So I looked at that, I said, oh my goodness. So now I had to give the bad news to the patient and say, hey, this is what's going on, right? This is why it happened.
Wow.
And oh, by the way, now not only do we need to remove this, but the only way to fix this is you need treatment again.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an easy treatment either, because now we're talking about not just aligning the tooth, but now I had to tuck the root inward and back into the bone, because the bone is what supports our teeth.
Would Invisalign be a treatment?
That's what we did.
Okay.
Yeah, but wow. I mean, like,
That's
that was a
insane.
shock just for me to see the tooth just kind of hanging out like this. That was a shocker.
I think there's well, with that patient, I think a lot of people think, and even myself, I didn't take dental health serious until I started my Invisalign journey. I'm be honest, I probably didn't even floss that often. I didn't even have floss. I was like, oh yeah, floss. Whenever somebody asks me they want floss, I'll have it.
That's like the meme. When's the dentist asks you, when's the last time you flossed? Bro, you were there.
Yeah, exactly. So and then I started learning about gum diseases and cavities and all this, and the fact that you can get really freaking bad and dark, and it's health. I mean, it gets to the point where you can have even cancer or something like that. So it's really bad. So the fact that a lot of people think that there's a one and done solution, like whether you do braces or Invisalign or anything that they do, once they're done with their treatment, that's it. I feel like it's very important, just like a car, you got to get oil changes regularly. You got to regularly see your dentist, so that way, even if you have permanent retainers, and correct me if I'm wrong, you should still at least see them every so often just to make sure everything's good, right? I mean, maybe a cleaning, I don't know, maybe a cleaning would have stopped. They probably didn't even go get a cleaning or anything like that. So maybe that would have prevented that situation to get worse. Or what do you think? I mean, like, okay, when the patient is done with an Invisalign treatment, what do you recommend them to do after that?
Okay, so what I tell my patients, right? And so this is not medical advice, or I'm not telling your audience what to do or how to do it. Now, for patients who come into our practice and we finish their Invisalign, what we do is that we make them a set of retainers. They're not permanent retainers where they're glued and fixed inside your mouth and onto your teeth. They are removable aligners that look just like Invisalign. In fact, we order them from Invisalign, right? And so during Invisalign treatment, if I provide some context, during your Invisalign treatment, your active treatment, the aligners must be worn 22 hours a day, okay, in order for the teeth to move. And that is due to biology. It's how teeth move. It's how the bone responds, okay? You put pressure on a tooth, that pressure gets transmitted down the tooth and onto the bone. After a consistent and continuous amount of time, that bone starts to remodel and allows the teeth to shift. That's why braces work, because you can't take them off, right? So same thing with Invisalign. Now, once we finish your treatment, you don't have to wear them full time anymore. You wear the retainers just at nighttime, okay? So you wear them every single night to go to sleep. Now, that might seem daunting, right? But a couple of things. Number one, when I feel like Invisalign patients, it's been my experience, are much better at wearing the retainers. Why is that? Because their entire treatment, they've been essentially wearing retainers, and there's been 22 hours a day. So when I tell you, hey, now you can just wear them at nighttime, you're, oh, this is a breeze. Braces patients, especially teenagers, one, they're not paying for treatment. They don't have, they don't really care about how they look so much. They don't understand the investment that's been going on. But also, they've been with braces miserable for 2 years, and then now it's like, hey, I'm free. I'm getting my braces off. And then the doctor says, psych, you need to wear retainers. And they're going, wait, I didn't sign up for this, right? So there's that aspect of it. But as a fact is though, as we age, and this happens for everybody. And by the way, for your audience, this happens whether you've had Invisalign braces, orthodontic treatment or not. As we age, our teeth shift. It's just a matter of life. We have ligaments and tissues between the teeth underneath the gums. And as we age, those ligaments, they tend to change and the teeth tend to shift, especially the lower front teeth. So it's like, hey, if you want your teeth to last, if you want your smile to last, there's that saying, wear your retainers nighttime for a lifetime. And again, while that might seem daunting, it's just at night, number one. And number two, and this kind of resonates more with women, but I said, hey, look, if I gave you kind of a face cream and I just said, apply this face cream once a night, right after you shower, right before you go to bed, you'll never have a face wrinkle ever in your entire life.
Never
I mean,
do.
90 with no wrinkle.
Yeah.
Would you miss a night? They probably wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Same for us, honestly.
No, I think it's important.
So,
I'm actually that's how I am right now. So I wear it at night, and I found out during my treatment that I'm a grinder. My teeth grind, and I have a very heavy grind to the point where I chip my tooth myself multiple times. And then literally, like, actually the other night, because I traveled, I forgot my retainers, and I was like, well, I gotta sleep. And I woke up like, it was like my teeth were like, we're free. And I woke up and I'm like, oh man, I'm over here like, please don't tell me I chipped my tooth. So I now it's like, I feel naked if I don't wear them at night.
Yeah.
I have to put them on. It's
It
just part
becomes
of
a
my
part of
routine.
you.
Brush my teeth, put them on, good to go.
100%.
Now, one thing that I wish I had, I'm not too familiar with it, but one of the things that I had a hard time when I was going through the Invisalign was, because now you guys have the black case, right?
Yeah.
I'm the white case. I was the original white case. So that's when I did my
case is a case. That's fine.
Correct. But you guys now give the patients also these crystals to clean, right? Or something like that?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up.
I didn't have anything.
Can we debunk this?
So can you tell me how to
debunk
clean
this?
Yeah, can you tell me how to clean it? Because you know, bro, I was doing toothbrush, I was getting toothpaste, I was getting soap. I was like getting the dentures
Oh my God.
I tried everything, bro.
Listen,
so please tell me how to clean the retainers.
again, this is what I do for myself, and this is what I tell our patients to do. And as a quick aside, so something you guys might not know, this is a highly controversial debate.
Okay.
Like on you go to the internet, and you have the internet trolls and they comment and whatnot. So I have plenty of educational videos online talking about how to clean retainers, right? And how to clean your aligners when you're going through treatment. And then there are comments that people thanking me and other people going, oh, I can't believe you're telling people to do this and this. And I said, well, first of all, I'm just showing you how we do it. But so here's how you do it. Toothbrush, toothpaste.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it?
And as a matter of fact, Invisalign's instructions for use say toothbrush, toothpaste. Okay.
How often? Every night? Or
so that's a great question.
After you take it off?
Yeah. So let's go. I'll tell you like what I do for my routine and what I tell my patients, and then I'll tell you like some of the reasons why people disagree with this, right? And we can kind of walk through that. So, and this is again part of the benefit of treating myself because I've walked the walk. I've done the patient journey. So twice a day.
Okay.
Right. So basically, when you brush your teeth, brush your aligners. Right.
Okay.
So that goes a long way to not only keeping your oral hygiene good, but keeping the aligners good too. Right. And so I used to hold them in my hand, toothbrush, toothpaste, brush the inside, brush the outside. And what I found was, especially the outside, it was very flimsy. It was annoying to have to do. You know. And then one day, I just left them in my mouth. I said, okay, I'm going to brush my teeth, but I'm going to brush my aligners too. Let me just leave them in my mouth. I'm going to take the toothbrush and toothpaste. I'm going to brush while they're in.
Okay.
And it was game changer.
Wow. Because they're
game changer.
They be slipping.
Yes,
like,
they slip, and
you're not. That actually makes sense. Yeah. Because you get this feel. It's like it's almost like a layer of something is growing on. It's like, yo, what is like when it's dirty. So
and you know what? It's faster. It's more thorough. You're being more complete. And when I did it, when I tell you, it's one of those ones.
I'm doing that tonight.
It's one of those situations where I did it. I go, I am so dumb.
Yeah.
Why did I not think of this before? You know, like it's so obvious, but I didn't think about it. And so I brush with them in, then I remove them, hold them in my hand, brush the inside, run them under water, then I brush my teeth. Now, as you might know, brushing the inside is nowhere near as flimsy as doing the outside. But it provided a more thorough clean. The aligners and the retainers looked great afterward. And then it was just easier. It was just easier. And that's all we're trying to do is make everything easier for patients. So I started telling my patients that, and they're like, oh, game changer.
No, that's awesome. Because for people that don't know, I learned this the hard way. It's Invisalign because the whole purpose is that it's invisible, right? It's the tray that you get, whatever week you're on, is so clear. By like, depending on how long you gotta wear it, because I remember one time, depending on every patient's different, I had to wear mine every 2 weeks. Right. But I think the one time I had to wear it 3 weeks, it got a little yellowish. And it was because I wasn't cleaning it a good job. And I was like, what the heck? Yeah. And again, I'm putting this treatment on so that nobody sees my teeth and then they look like I'm smoking or a coffee drinker. It's like, what's the point, right? Yeah. So
there's, and that's the technical side of it. So firstly, as you pointed out, correctly, some doctors have you change them every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. What we do here is every 7 days.
Oh, wow.
Every 7 days you change your aligner. And there's a reason for that. The technology is such where all the tooth movements that we program into each aligner are programmed to do it within 7 days, where actually the biology of your tooth movements and things like that and your overall anatomy allows for that to happen. So one, you're getting through treatment quicker than if you were just in every 2 weeks. And then secondly, you are now changing to a fresh aligner every single week, every 7 days. So there's that. But the reason why there's so much debate out there and so many people say, oh, that's the wrong way to do it, even though Invisalign's instructions for you say to do it, is that back in the day it was, hey, you don't want to scratch the aligner, right? And so if you use toothbrush and toothpaste, you're going to scratch the aligner. First of all, again, I can just tell you from my experience, my aligners have not been scratched, okay? Secondly, let's just assume for a moment that they get slightly scratched or maybe a little bit cloudy, let's just say, right? Would you prefer that? Or would you prefer dirty aligners and possibly, and then you're going to be changing to the next one in 7 days. But more than that, if we think about why people, they don't want your aligners to stain, and they don't want you to have like sugar on the aligners and get cavities and things like that. So you have to clean them, right? But all the excess stuff, it's not that I'm saying not to use crystals. It's not that I'm saying not to use certain things. I mean, there are certain things not to use, like don't put them in mouthwash, stuff like that. But this is just the simplest way to do it, and it's the most effective. And that's what I do for me and my patients.
So you touched upon something that I wanted to know, because when you have your trays on, clear liquids are good. Yes?
Yes.
Like water. Yes. Water for sure.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you can drink that's okay, or you have to take it off? Like
yes.
So
and when I treated myself, then people are so shocked to hear this, because it's, to your point, that question is more of like a, hey, I don't want this to ruin my lifestyle, and it's going to be a pain if I always have to take them out and drink things, and what if I'm hanging out with friends or on a date or at a party or whatever else, and like I don't want to have to constantly take them off in front of people and things like that. I drank red wine with mine on.
Really?
Chocolate protein shakes, black coffee. Okay.
Wow.
I went to Brazil once a few years back for a wedding, a friend of mine, and I was sipping caipirinhas on the beach with them in. Okay. So you can drink. Let me back that up. I drank, and I tell my patients, hey, you can drink things that are not water. Okay. Now, again, there's two reasons why people and other doctors tell you not to do that. Number one, they've never treated themselves, right? So they haven't played and been a guinea pig themselves to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and what they can tell their patients. But the other thing is that they're concerned that you're going to stain the aligners and that you're going to give yourself cavities. So let's debunk those two things, right? So number one, when you drink coffee right now, right? Do you take a swish and then go? No one does that. You take small sip, you toss it back. Okay, so same thing with your aligners in. Okay, same thing with wine or anything like this. So you take smaller sips, you don't swish it around your mouth. Whenever you're done drinking something that is not water, then just get some water. And what I would do is I would just get some water, swish with it two times or so, just to flush any sugars or anything like that, and any possible thing that can stain the aligner. So number one, the sugar is being flushed out. Then when I get home, I can brush and we're good, all right? Because you're not always going to have a toothbrush with you, let's be honest. And then the other aspect of it is that, in terms of the staining, right? So this comes down to poor oral hygiene. When I've seen that the aligners are stained, is A, you don't have poor oral hygiene, and you're not brushing the aligners. Now, I just taught you how to brush the aligners a lot better. It's impossible for, the aligners to be perfectly clear and transparent by day 6 and 7. That being said, I don't know if you remember this when you were going through your treatment. By day 5, 6, 7, right, you take them out. If you're holding them out in the air like this, you might see that obviously it's not 100% clear, right? You might see like a tint. But when you put them on, that tint doesn't show.
It's so
right?
You see it with the light, but then when you put it on, you can't. Same thing with the a lot of people that maybe just touch upon this, the attachments that go with the trays, and I think. To me, I think that's a secret sauce and what makes Invisalign different versus the other trays that they don't even use attachments. Right. Because how are you going to pull the teeth if you don't have something,
Correct.
So I got scared because I had some attachments on the front tooth and I'm like, oh boy, you're going to see this, and I'm like, first of all, it's the same color as your tooth. It's almost like it's an attachment. So, but once you put on your tray, you don't even when I took photos, I mean, you really gotta look, and nobody's gonna be looking like that.
It also depends on the type of material you use. You cheap material that's not good or that's not tooth colored. So we use a very good material that really blends in with the teeth. And then to your point, just again as a side note for your audience, attachments aren't always necessary.
Okay.
They are many times.
Yeah.
But there are use cases where we don't have to use them, or we don't have to use them on many teeth or something like this. It depends on two factors. Number one, the type of tooth movement that's happening. So this is a lot of physics, and this is why you need somebody who understands what's going on. But what is that particular tooth doing? What are the other teeth doing? What type of bite alignment are we doing? And so now, what type of physical force do we need to apply to the teeth, and does that need an attachment? That's the first thing. The second thing, though, is let's say, for example, we have a patient who we're almost finished up treating right now. She's a newscaster. Okay. For a big station. Yeah. She has veneers on every single tooth, top and bottom, old veneers.
Oh, you can do Invisalign treatment with veneers?
100%.
I didn't know that.
Veneers, implants, crowns.
Wow.
All of it.
I did not know that.
I know a lot of people disqualify themselves. It's like, come in for a consult. We'll help you. But so anyway, so she had originally called, right? She says, hey, I just have some questions. I don't like my smile. I had orthodontic treatment in the past, right? I had a permanent retainer placed, and then I had veneers placed on every single tooth, right? But there's something off about the smile, but I don't even know if I'm a candidate because I have veneers on every single tooth. Anyway, a long story short, she came in. I felt like we can help her, but because she had veneers on every single tooth, I did not want to place attachments on her teeth because I don't want to damage the veneers, right? But she had a permanent retainer placed, It technically didn't break, but the entire lower front just skewed like this. Oh, wow. It looked like an S shape. Wow. Okay. And so she's like, I need help. So I said, I don't want to damage your veneers, so we're not going to place any attachments. We're going to do the Invisalign without the attachments. What I need you to know, though, is that this might make your treatment a little bit less efficient. It might be a little bit longer. If you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. So anyway, she decided, hey, let's do this. She came into the office just a couple weeks ago. Oh my God, she's almost finished with treatment. She looks flat out amazing. She showed me videos of her doing the newscast and took screenshot of one where she's like, her mouth is open and you can see the curvature of that lower, and versus one that she just did. And I mean, just night and day. And the fact that we were able to do that for her with no attachments and all that with all her veneers was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. We did get a question from one of our guys in the audience here. They asked, so you're only allowed to, I'm gonna tell you these three situations. You're only allowed to use one word. Ooh. So you gotta give an answer.
Okay. These are, you know, it's funny when you're at home on TV watching this, you're like, how do these people not think of it? And then when you're the one getting the question, it's hard.
So I think you might know the answer, but you know, just so we can keep it straight. So first situation. Patient needs a solution because they have a lot of gaps in their mouth. What can you give them again, you only get one word, so what can they do to fix those gaps?
Invisalign.
All right. They have an overbite.
Yeah.
That's the second one. They have a really bad overbite. What can they do to get that fixed?
Invisalign.
All right. And then the last one is their teeth are very crooked. Yeah. So what can they do to get that fixed?
Invisalign.
All right, so you guys heard it here. It's pretty damn simple. I mean,
all right, I did know the answers.
I don't know how else you guys need to know. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know. I mean, there's different, because I had crooked teeth. It's funny. That was actually me. I had crooked teeth. I had overbite, which I didn't know about, and then I had my back teeth were very spaced out. Yeah. That was probably the hardest one, and that's why I did it twice, because everything was beautiful, but she wasn't satisfied with the back teeth for the future. She was like, "You ain't gonna have a problem now. But when you're 60 years old, you might be hating yourself, be like, why didn't I do it then?" So again, you know, these things, you got to take it serious and stuff like that. Sho, you got any last question to wrap up?
Yeah, tell me.
Are you in good hands?
Am I in good hands? With you guys? Or just in general?
No, so
I'm missing the joke here.
So we wanted to know,
I'm thinking
this is for Martine. Yes.
I'm thinking Allstate.
Yes. Now, what is Allstate?
It's insurance.
Okay, so what is probably your most prized possession in your body part that you need to do your job?
My hands.
Do you have insurance on your hands that the guys want to know?
That's a great question. I have disability insurance, but I do not have insurance specifically on my hands, but I probably should. That being said, actually, I would say that my hands are secondary. Okay. My brain is first and foremost. Okay, you have to diagnose, treatment plan, smile design, re-diagnose, problem solve. So you asked earlier, I didn't want to interrupt either, but you're asking, hey, one word, Invisalign, Invisalign. Can, you know, crooked teeth, Invisalign, overbite, Invisalign, open bite, it's not necessarily that, even though it is true. It's what do you need?
Yeah.
You're different from show's different from me.
Yep.
I'm different from somebody else. So we have to understand, how do you present? How is your teeth alignment? How's your bite alignment? What are your goals? How do we plan for that?
Yep.
And then what do we do in order to accomplish whatever we need to?
Awesome. Yeah, because just like a plastic surgeon,
their hands for sure.
They need their hands.
Yeah.
So same thing with you. That's what we're. And then the team, they were like, the ladies in the team, they were like, what about Allstate? I was like, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is.
And
But
like,
the thing is,
hands.
I design people's smiles on a computer. I use a software
That's
and
true.
I move your teeth tooth by tooth and align your bite and all of that. So it's all up there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have on this episode of Unfiltered. Again, Johnny, thank you for letting us come to your practice.
Yeah.
And, everybody now know we're Jet Boutique. Links are going to be below. You can go ahead and follow him. He's going to have all his educational videos on social media. So definitely you'll see our podcast plus more. And then, if you guys are in the area, definitely come and get your free consultation. I mean, I don't know how else you can really have a better offer to kind of have an excuse to come in. And if you're even thinking about it, I mean, if you're on the fence or anything like that, just come, just schedule your consultation. Other than that, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having me.
you very much.
Thank you,
and
so
we'll wrap it up there, guys. See you on the next one.
See you guys.